Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. My name is Davoud, and I was a postdoctoral researcher in the Food System Prism Lab at the University of British Columbia. I'm going to present my project developing a regionalized sustainable feed formulation for laying hen. I start with an introduction and the objective of this project. Then I talk about our proposed framework and how we develop the tool based on our framework. Feed production is a significant contributor to the environmental footprint of livestock products. Feed formulation may therefore provide valuable opportunities to reduce impacts and improve sustainability outcomes in livestock production. Goal programming is currently the leading multi-criteria decision analysis or MCDA tool used in feed formulation. Current feed formulation only take into account cost and nutritional consideration. Environmental goals are not typically included. Life cycle assessment, or LCA, is a comprehensive approach for assessment of the inputs, outputs, and potential environmental impacts of a product system. LCA is very well suited to support sustainable feed formulation efforts. The challenge, however, is to effectively integrate information from LCA research of feed input supply chains with the nutrition and cost data that is traditionally considered in feed formulation. The goal of this project was to develop a regionalized life cycle-based feed formulation for Canadian laying hen. In order to develop a feed formulation model that integrates environmental goals as a new objective function to the current feed formulation, we need to have a framework and also know what are other considerations that need to be taken into account. So as the first step, we conducted a systematic literature review to find out the necessity consideration for developing a sustainable feed formulation. Based on the outcome of our literature review, here is the framework that we developed and used to build our model. There are 4 levels that need to be followed to build the sustainable feed formulation model. The required data, including decision variables, nutrient composition, constraints, and regionalized LCA of feed ingredients, will be collected at the data level. Then 2 main objective functions will be defined. The model will be run for each goal individually. Then we assign weights to each goal and build our weighted goal programming model that takes into account both goals. An Excel-based tool was developed to consider these steps. One of consideration that led us to consider the regionalized LCA was variabilities of feed ingredients. There are several sources of variabilities. The origin of feed ingredients, for example, soybean can be imported from Brazil or produced in Quebec or Manitoba. The processing plant and transportation mode and distance were other sources of variabilities. Regionalized environmental impacts of feed ingredients were calculated using OpenLCA software. Here is a short overview of our developed tool. As a practitioner, first we need to select the feed ingredients, feed input types, each feed ingredients, their production origin, the processing site, and also the transportation mode and transportation distance for each feed ingredients. Based on our selection of feed ingredients, we can run the model for our weighted goal programming model based on the constraint that we defined. Once we run the model, we can see the results here and share of each feed ingredients. Going back to our presentation, our model reflects the market price of each feed ingredients, their regionalized environmental impacts, their nutrient composition, and different combination of feed ingredients in the formulation. By providing a least environmental impact feed ration, this work contributes to more sustainable livestock production system. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Heidari, for this, this nice presentation. I do have a quick questions here. As you know, the NRC recommendation or guidelines are way outdated for poultry. They date back to Professor Summers, who was inducted in the Hall of Fame this morning, so they need to be updated. Would you suggest, or do you think, how would you incorporate your model into the new guidelines, for example, of the NRC?
As I mentioned in the early of this presentation, in the current feed formulation, the only consideration is the cost and nutritional composition of feed ingredients. One suggestion could be consider environmental impacts of each feed ingredient when developing a new feed formulation. And one of the problem was there was no framework for that suggestion. Now, based on this project, we have a framework of how to add another objective, as I mentioned, environmental impacts of feed ingredients to that framework.
All right. Thank you. We've got